12 months ago, Lando Norris lifted the biggest trophy in motorsport. Today, at just 26 years old, he hasn't won a single race all season. His own car can't even make it to the grid half the time, and even he's starting to sound like he's given up on fighting for the title he holds right now. This isn't a slow decline. This is one of the fastest, most brutal collapses a reigning world champion has ever had to sit through in real time. And by the time this video ends, you'll understand exactly how it happened, and why it might not be over yet. Let's start with the number that says everything. Norris currently sits 5th in the Drivers' Championship, 82 points behind leader Kimi Antonelli. 82 points. For context, that's not a driver defending a crown, that's a driver who's mathematically almost out of the conversation entirely, less than a year after being the best in the world. McLaren, the team that won back-to-back Constructors' Championships and carried Norris to that maiden title, is now sitting a distant 3rd in the standings. The team that looked completely untouchable is now, in Norris's own words, finding it tough to even accept they no longer have a car that's fast everywhere. Here's how fast this fell apart. The brand new 2026 regulations reset the entire competitive order overnight, and while some teams adapted quickly, McLaren simply didn't. Norris himself admitted, in the middle of his own title defense, that the team was 3 months behind their rivals in development. Think about how brutal that admission actually is. A reigning world champion, mid-season, publicly telling the world his own team is months behind, not weeks, months. But here's where the story stops being just about a slower car, and turns into something closer to a nightmare. In China, neither McLaren car even made it to the starting grid, battery issues wiping out the entire weekend before it began. Then came even worse news from Mercedes, who build McLaren's power units. They told Norris there was simply no way to fix the energy store inside his car. That meant he was already burning through his second of only 3 batteries allowed for the entire season, with a 4th swap guaranteed to trigger an automatic 10-place grid penalty. And sure enough, that exact penalty hit him at the Belgian Grand Prix, when McLaren was forced to fit a 4th power unit component and accept the grid drop, a decision the team said was about protecting long-term reliability rather than chasing short-term results. Picture what that actually feels like from inside the car. You're not just losing to Mercedes and Ferrari on raw pace anymore. You're losing races before you even reach the grid, watching mechanical failures erase entire weekends that you can never get back, all while wearing the number 1 on your car as reigning champion. Team radio from the British Grand Prix captured exactly how much that was wearing on him. Norris telling his own engineers, bluntly, that McLaren needed to get it right for once. That's not a driver making excuses. That's a champion visibly running out of patience, with a team he trusted to help him defend his title. And yet, here's what makes this story genuinely different from a typical bad season story. Norris hasn't spiraled. He hasn't gone looking for someone to blame beyond the obvious mechanical and developmental issues. After finishing on the podium in Barcelona, he said something remarkable for a driver who was fighting for race wins just months earlier, that a 3rd-place finish now feels like a win for the team. Think about the mental shift required to say that out loud, publicly, as a reigning world champion. That's not weakness. That's a driver recalibrating in real time, staying grounded while his entire title defense quietly falls apart underneath him. There's a bigger lesson buried in all of this too, one that goes beyond Norris individually. Dominance in this sport has never been permanent, and the 2026 regulation reset proved that in the most dramatic, unforgiving way imaginable. A team that looked genuinely unbeatable for 2 straight seasons got humbled almost instantly by a single rule change cycle. And their reigning champion has had to personally absorb nearly all of that fall from grace, race after race, weekend after weekend, in front of millions of people watching him lose with the number 1 still on his car. So where does this actually leave Norris heading into the second half of the season? The championship fight is realistically over. The gap to Antonelli makes that mathematically brutal at this point. But there's something almost more important still on the line, proving that this season was a setback and not the beginning of a permanent decline, both for himself individually and for McLaren as a team. Every strong result from here forward stops being about championship points and starts being about something bigger, sending a message that the recovery has already begun, that this nightmare season has an ending that isn't total collapse. This is a 26-year-old who went from lifting the biggest trophy in the sport to defending that same title in a car that sometimes can't even reach the grid. Nobody predicted this heading into 2026, least of all Norris himself, sitting there 12 months ago as the newly crowned world champion with the entire sport in front of him. Let me know in the comments. Do you think Norris and McLaren can actually turn this around before the season ends? Or is 2026 already a complete write-off heading into next year? Subscribe for more, because how a champion handles a fall this steep often reveals more about them than any trophy ever could.